Today I am joining in the celebrations of International Jazz Day. Now, jazz wasn't always my favourite when I was younger. I suppose the first album that really grabbed me was Dave Brubeck's Time Out. That was an album that my dad used to listen to, and so Take 5 is a song that I've loved for a very long time. But I remember when I was at school there was a jazz band and it really didn't appeal to me that much, and my older brother got into jazz fusion for a while, and I used to find that I used to consider it just the work of musos that were just pleasing themselves, effectively masturbating on stage in front of everyone else by trying to push the limits of melodic and rhythmic patterns beyond anything that had any kind of groove or form or function that you could really get into. And you know, there is still quite a lot of jazz music that leaves me completely dry, where people are perpetually trying to go for the most outrageous key changes, and you know, but now and increasingly I have a respect for why people are doing that and what role that plays in the expansion of the language of music and how we understand and can relate to music. It's not something that I've ever bought a lot of, and it's funny, when I think of my jazz collection on my computer, it's predominantly traditional jazz. You know, the modern exponents that I really love are people like Matthew Halsall, who is a trumpet player who has this extremely mellow, quiet delivery. I was really pleased the other day to be in a cafe and some Matthew Halsall came on that I didn't know, but I instantly identified his trumpet playing because it has such a soft, peaceful tone to it. I gave up with music theory at an early age as I discovered punk and rock music and kind of felt that music theory was superfluous. I've got my ear and that's all I need. And it's been so interesting as time has gone on to start to understand the mathematical beauty of the musical system and how musical theory actually, you know, it's funny, I wish at a younger age I had been shown how intrinsically maths and sound and music fit together and how they can be understood in a way that just opens up this language of music. It's a real shame that people who teach music theory so rarely manage to convey this. It's a bit like with maths, you know, people don't get to see the pure beauty of maths because they get too bogged down in the detail before they get shown how these beautiful patterns unfold before us if we approach them in the right way. That being said, jazz festivals are not something I would normally attend, and yet I'm considering going to one this year just so that I can be in the presence of Jacob Collier, who is a musician who his understanding of music is second to none. He's a real phenomenon of our times, and even though with him his music isn't all that I would normally choose to listen to, my appreciation for what he does is, you know, I think it's difficult for any musician not to just have their jaw on the floor witnessing what he's able to do with almost any instrument to hand, let alone his voice. So jazz is something that's growing on me actually as time goes on. Does that make me an old fart? Is that just part of the natural process of becoming an old fart? I don't know. But whereas jazz left me dry, it's getting me juicier and juicier. So today I'm joining in the international celebrations for jazz music.